Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Las Vegas Advisor Weekly Update with Anthony and Andrew. Today is Wednesday, August 3rd, and storm of the century here in Vegas, huh?
Last week, yeah, we're drying off. We're still drying off.
We're drying off and we're heating up. I mean, it's like crazy storms in between 110-degree heat.
Yeah, well, they call this a monsoon season here.
Yeah.
And, you know, monsoon season, I never really noticed that. But, boy, you talk about a storm last week. You know, this was July 28th. The casinos flooded, the streets flooded. I mean, this was, I've been here more than 40 years. And I would put this in my top 3 storms that I've ever seen.
Wow.
You know,
like most powerful.
Most powerful, yeah, and most just impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was number one. I'm not saying these are in order. I don't even know what order they're in, but in order of when they happened, 1994. July 1994, there was just a gigantic rain and windstorm, something like close to 80-mile-an-hour winds, and it literally snapped the sign at the Hilton. At that time, it was the Las Vegas Hilton, and it was touted as the largest, tallest sign in the world at that time. And the wind broke it right in half.
Jeez.
Fell into the street.
Okay.
And I mean, literally, I recall being in that windstorm and feeling like if you wanted to and you ran with it, you could get up and fly. I mean, that's the way it felt. The second one was February 2019.
Okay.
And on that one, I woke up at my house, and I looked outside, and I swear I thought I was back in Michigan. There was snow everywhere. Now, it snows in Vegas. You know, we get snow. We get flurries.
Once in a while.
Yeah, we do once or twice a year. I mean, at least, you know, once a year. But this was the kind of snow you see in the Midwest and in the East. It was on the ground. It was all over. It was heaped on top of cars, right? And the kids were making snowmen.
Wow.
It was crazy, but this was the third one.
It's like hell froze over, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And this was the third one. And I mean, it was literally, I've never seen rain like this. It was moving in a sideways motion. And it was because the wind was blowing it so hard. I was in a place called the Atomic Tavern downtown, and had the door open because everybody was watching it. And the rain was going sideways. And what was amazing about this is just on a dime, snap. It stopped for a second. And it started again, and it was going in the opposite direction.
That's the weird thing, you know. I got to tell you, I felt like I was in Florida. You were saying Michigan. I felt like I was in Florida just with the humidity and with the wind and how it would, like, pour or just downpour so hard and then stop.
Yeah.
So,
but I never saw it change directions like that because I mean it was literally going across the open door. The wind was so strong that the rain was not blowing in; it was going. There was not a drop inside.
Yeah.
And then it stopped, and it did the same thing going the opposite direction. It was really something. We've got video of it. Go to LasVegasAdvisor.com and go to our blog, Vegas with an Edge, and we've got video of that and what happened downtown. I mean, did you see that? The water was coming through the odds board at Circa.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I also saw Derek Stevens tweeting and thanking everybody for coming to come save the casino.
I don't know what they did, but I mean, you know, it was happening everywhere. Water was coming through the roof. We've got another video up at LasVegasAdvisor.com of a guy playing at the Fremont. He's playing video poker or a slot machine. I think he's playing slots.
Yeah.
Water's coming down on the machine, bouncing all over him and he's just there.
He's just playing, Sometimes you get stuck in hypnotic rhythm and you just can't stop, even if there's like a storm going.
So every crazy story you've ever heard about a gambler who won't quit, it's kind of like personified right there.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I mean, we got sunshine again and sunshine and 105, so we're dry again.
So, Anthony, there was news that the Silverton is closing. The Silverton's south by South Point and the M.
Yes. Well, it's not going to close. They're doing a remodel.
Okay.
They're doing a $45 million remodel of their rooms, 300 hotel rooms there. They're going to close them all. So you can't stay at the Silverton. I don't know how many people stay at the Silverton. Like I say, only 300 rooms. It's south of the Strip, down by South Point and the M. Those are all the casinos down that way south. Yeah. And they're going to close all their rooms, and they're going to close their pool.
Okay, but the casino will be open. The restaurants will be open.
Everything. The casino, the restaurants, the stores, you know, they've got the Bass Pro Shop there.
Sure.
They've got the aquarium with the mermaids. You know, there's some cool things at Silverton. Everything's going to be going except the rooms and the pool. So you just can't stay there. You can still go there.
All right. So you can go play at the Silverton. Are they offering any incentives to go there?
Silverton's up and down. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes they do things. If you're a member of Silverton's club, you get, they'll send you things and all. But Silverton, sometimes they get into a promoting sort of mode, and sometimes they don't. It's kind of an odd place.
That's why if I'm always going to go down there, I go to the South Point, because it's not like you can just walk from casino to casino down there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. We talk about South Point a lot. They don't pay us to say this, but if you got to pick from the three, I'd go to South Point.
For sure.
They got the better deals. They just do.
Yeah, 12 restaurants, $1.50 hot dog.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Also, in other news, the Beatles' Love said it's going to be extended through 2023 at the Mirage.
Yeah, this was a little bit through the end of 2023. So this was a little bit surprising to me. One of the things we haven't talked about, like what's going to happen when the Mirage closes to become the Hard Rock? What's going to happen to the Volcano? What's going to happen with the building of the new hotel tower, the guitar-shaped hotel tower? But somebody brought up a little while ago, and I keep thinking about it, what's going to happen to Love, the show Love? Is it going to stay? And, nobody really knew, and now they come out with a press release saying that Love has been renewed to run through the end of 2023. So not only is it not going away right now, at least, but everything I'd read or heard so far said that the Mirage was likely going to close at the end of this year.
Right.
So now they're saying, the press release says that it will be performing through the end of 2023 at the Mirage. So apparently, though they didn't come right out and say it, apparently they're not going to close the casino until maybe the end of 2023.
Okay.
And,
so it's going to be business as usual through the transition, at least through the end of 2023.
to some degree
Seemingly.
through the building, I guess, because it did sound funny. They were saying it was going to close in 2022
Right.
and not open until 2025, and it just seemed like that was way too long. So maybe they're going to do cosmetic things or get it going through 2023, continue the show, and then close, and then reopen a year and a half later, which makes more sense.
Well, I tell people all the time to go check out the Volcano because it's not going to be there forever. And I thought they announced that the Volcano was shutting down towards the end of this year, 2022.
You know what? They have not made an official announcement about anything. This is the first official thing that we've seen.
Okay.
So we'll just wait and see, and we'll report when we hear in the future.
All right. Well, so you can go check out that Volcano show still. Now, I hear that some of the casinos have put up lines on the presidential race for 2024. Now, is that even legal?
Well, actually, no. In the United States, you cannot bet on the presidential election, at least not as of now. These lines were put up by Draftkings.
Oh, okay.
And they were put up in Canada. All right, so, but of course it's news. And the favorite is?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the favorite at plus 250, meaning bet 100 to win 250.
Yeah.
He's followed by Ron DeSantis at plus 400, so essentially 4-1. Joe Biden is plus 550. And Kamala Harris is plus 1,200, so it makes her 12-1. Actually, I've heard that some books in the UK, there's a lot of betting on presidential elections in Europe, have DeSantis and Trump literally as co-favorites at plus 400, both of them at 4-1.
Can I pull like a Brewster's Millions and check none of the above? Is that possible?
I don't. You know what? This is just like a far look-ahead line.
Yeah.
And you actually can bet them if you're in those places. And it's just kind of more for us to kind of look at and say, okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
As it leads up to the presidential election every year, every 4 years, the lines really change a lot. And even though you can't bet them in the United States, we've got access to them, and we're always reporting on them in the Las Vegas Advisor. And it's fun to watch.
How many different people can you bet on? Is there a list?
Well, usually, yeah. But as it gets closer, more and more people, until it gets down to the final two, then we know who's really running, and then it's just between those. But when they're going through the nomination process and all of that, there's usually about 20 different places people you can bet on.
Right. So would it be advantageous? Is it like one of those things where you could put $10 down now and get like a big payoff later?
Yeah, if you got a feeling. I mean, if you think one of these guys is going to do it, I wouldn't touch it right now. I mean,
no way.
Not enough information. Those aren't particularly good, juicy lines. I think I'd leave this alone. But it's just kind of interesting.
It is. It's interesting news because the types of things that you can bet on a site like DraftKings, it's like who would even think that you could bet on that?
Yeah, well, you've got the incumbent president at third position. That's kind of strange, but it is what it is. The bookies tend to know their stuff.
All right. Well, that's DraftKings, so check it out. All right, and this week's Jackpot of the Week comes to us from somebody who just simply calls themselves Not Too Degenerate.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it comes in, it says, in a downtown Vegas casino, and I noticed a quarter progressive that was north of $2,500. Of course, the bank was full, and I moved on. I checked back a few times, and the bank was always full. The next morning, I was surprised to see that the progressive was at $3,500. I was even more surprised to see an open seat at 9:30 in the morning, and proceeded to grind my way for 4 hours, and at 1:30, this photo happened.
Yeah, that's all right. So we got a guy playing progressives here.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit. There's a lot to say about progressives. You know, when you're talking about a progressive game, whether it's video poker or anything, potentially that game can become positive or good for the player.
Right.
All right, because the progressive goes up and up and up until it hits a point where now by playing it, you're going to make more money once you hit that jackpot than you'll lose getting to that jackpot.
Correct.
And that's why he said, you know, not surprisingly, when he saw the meter very high, he couldn't sit down. You know, somewhere in there, we didn't read it, but it said there were 10 banks. So 10 of those machines had that progressive meter on it, and all 10 of them were occupied because other people see it. And sometimes teams swoop in and they play these progressives.
Right, because it becomes, as you said, a positive expectation game. So people will get together and pool their money to go and get that hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's teams that actually do that. This game that he was playing, he's playing 9-5 double bonus. So that returns 97.87%. That's with a regular $1,000 jackpot or a 4,000 coin jackpot. This was a quarter machine, so it's a $1,000 jackpot. Now, the break even on this game, you know, people who do this for a living or people who do this to make money know that the break even on this is somewhere around 1,950.
Ah, okay. So this was well over.
Well over. It was at 2,500 when Not Too Degenerate saw it. And he knew it was good. So at 2,500, it was returning 101.4%. So now you've got a video poker machine. People say, how can you make money playing video poker? Well, this is one way to do it. You play a machine with a progressive that goes high enough that it's returning over 100%. Now that's with perfect play. You've got to know how you know how to play it. The strategy changes as the jackpot goes up and up and up. But he noticed it. You know, he tried to play at 2,500. He couldn't get a seat. Says he came back the next day and it was at 3,500. So obviously now that return has gone up again, and it's now up to 103.9%.
Wow.
At 3,500. When he finally got on and he hit it at 3,900, it was actually returning 104.9%. So he was playing about a 5% positive game.
Okay. And it paid off for him. He was able to make it pop to get the jackpot. But you see, there's also a warning here. You could walk by a positive expectation game at $1,900, $2,000 jackpot and still have to grind for many, many hours.
Oh, I'll tell you a story about that. I mean, first, I want to make a point. A lot of people think that when it gets high, it means it's time to hit.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that. It's still, the odds are pretty much the same as they always are for getting a royal flush.
Right, 1 in 40 whatever thousand.
Yeah, 40-some thousand or whatever. Yeah. Now, those odds aren't exactly the same because you alter your play. As it goes higher and higher and higher, all of a sudden you're keeping an ace and a 10 of spades where you wouldn't normally do that.
Right.
But you're now keeping that, so you increase the chances of getting the royal. So they will hit a little bit more frequently, but only because you're changing strategy.
Okay.
But it doesn't change the likelihood of the royal hitting. It only means that when the royal hits, you'll make so much more money than you normally would have that you are exceeding what you're going to lose on the way up. That's how these progressives work. All right, so you talk about, you bring up a great point. I'll tell you a great story on a royal progressive. Years ago, I mean, again, 20-some years ago, I woke up one morning and I looked at the newspaper. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I was up early. And there was an ad in the paper that the Klondike Sunset down in Henderson was going to get rid of its progressive dollar games. When you do that, there's a law in the books saying you have to give away the progressive somehow. The casino can't lock up the money that they've made on the progressive, and so they have to give it away. So what they did is they changed that jackpot to quarter machines. So we were now playing quarter machines with, instead of $1,000 jackpots, they had $4,000 jackpots and up.
Wow.
So
okay.
we were playing with 6 and 7% edges. And I called, 2 2 or 3 of my buddies. Back then, there was no internet. Back then, there were no, there was no cell phones.
You were the information conduit
That's right. That's what we talked about, the information conduit. It's like we know each other, Called up some buddies. We all went down there. We started hammering away. All of us could play 800-900 hands, maybe 1,000 hands per hour. We played for 7 hours. By the time we were done playing, every single seat was filled. The word had gotten out. People were waiting, trying to get on these machines because it was about a $90 to $100 an hour opportunity with low risk because you're playing quarters.
Right.
And me and 3 friends, we played it for 7 hours and we never hit it.
No!
Somebody else hit it.
Oh, geez. I thought this was going to be a good story.
No, we lost several $1,000s and somebody else hit it. So I guess Not Too Degenerate probably pissed somebody off too by stepping in and hitting that jackpot when everybody else was there slamming away trying to hit the thing.
Right, because if you walk by a $2,000 jackpot, you go, oh, I'm going to play. So there's a lot of people who are playing.
Yeah, well, people, they'll see it and they'll just intuitively know, but there's others who actually absolutely know the proper plays, how to change their strategy, and they're doing this for for a profit.
Right.
And they're going there. There's a great book all about it. All right, I think we've got it up on the screen.
Yeah, we've showed this book before. This is a good one.
Secret World of Video Poker Progressives by Frank Neeland. It'll tell you all about it. You want to know how to play progressive machines, this is the book to read.
When I talk to gamblers, a lot of slot players, they don't know how to play video poker. And they don't know that the odds are a lot better, that the house edge is a lot lower if you play video poker.
Yeah, well, rarely. With some of the new slots we've talked about it, you can get to a point where you've got an edge in some of these games. But with video poker, you can always, determine where that edge is and how big it is.
Cool. All right. Well, you heard it here. Congratulations to Not So Degenerate. And guys, we're getting really close to 10,000 subscribers. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you. All that good stuff.
Check in next week. We're going to run, as we get closer to 10,000, we're going to run a little,
like a promotion, like a giveaway.
Little promo. So check in next week. We'll tell you all about it, and maybe you can win something cool.
All right, and that's it for this week. We'll see you next week.